and then in 1 minute, we will start. And at the same time, the screen will go live. So Malika, you can start adding the participants.
So 2 more minutes. You can continue with your conversation.
Just quickly, just a mubarakbad to Qaima and Arib again. When we planned this webinar, no one had the idea. Actually, the people who planned this webinar, they did not have any idea that they were recipients of the highest 2 medals at Habib University. I already knew, I knew the irony of it, but these folks knew.
Hey, Russ, did you flash them prior to convocation?
No,
Okay.
we eagerly awaited, but I think there's more time required there, Shaukat bhai.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. Right. So so the way it happens is that I get the final 3 nominations each, for medal and for Yosen medal, and I make a Academy Award-like secret envelope that I seal and sign, and it gets opened at the time of giving of the award.
It's live streaming.
Yeah.
Okay, it is.
Live and the webinar has started.
Okay. Started. Dr. Naqvi.
Adab, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this webinar from Habib University called Shaping Futures, Reshaping Philanthropy. Shaping Futures is the motto of Habib University, and we'll be saying something about that. And Reshaping Philanthropy, initiative about which we'll say a little bit more in a bit. But this is in celebration of our graduating class of 2024. We just had the convocation yesterday, and we have 2 very distinguished students from that convocation with us, as well as our Mohsineen, who play such an important role in enabling the Habib University higher educational mission. I am Noman Naqvi. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Comparative Humanities here. I am, as it happens, the first faculty member that was hired at Habib University. So that gave me the opportunity to be the founding dean of the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, as well as played a very important role in designing. I was the founding director of the Habib Liberal Core Curriculum, about which I'll also say a bit. I'll start by saying something about our... I'm sorry, Aksa, can you turn off your mic, please?
We need to mute every other mic, Aksa, we could hear you.
Yes. So I'll start by saying something about our educational mission. Habib University is a liberal arts. Habib University is a liberal arts university. We have a unique liberal core curriculum, which we define as being motivated by a reparative educational mission. We all understand, I think, at this point in our collective history, that we live in a very damaged world. And this is true really all over the world. And the liberal arts, actually, in their very moment of founding in the early 19th century, the modern liberals, that is, had this reparative, because lots of people who were involved in the establishment of the modern research university and modern university understood that even back then, it was clear to them that the modern fragmentation of knowledge had resulted in the need for the reparation of this specialization and fragmentation of knowledge. And that's what the liberal arts mission is about. We have a post-colonial take on that liberal arts mission, which is especially grounded in our liberal core curriculum, but really extends to all of our programs. In the Habib Liberal Art, in the Habib Liberal Core Curriculum, we teach all students, whether they're from the Dhanani School of Science and Engineering or from the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, for the 7 forms of thought, which involve historical and social thought, philosophical thought, language and expression, quantitative reasoning, formal reasoning, natural scientific method and analysis, and creative, because we think that's a very important part of higher education. So in terms of the historical thought, we have a very post-colonial angle, which is, and philosophical thought also, because our philosophical inheritance, the loss of our philosophical inheritance, is the traditions, is a very important part of the damage, not just, of course, in Pakistan, but really all over the world, part of the damage of the modern experience, which we hope to repair and restitute. So that's a little bit about our educational mission. I'm sure our president will also be speaking about it. And this is what, this reparative model is what allows the motto of what responds to the motto of another motto of Habib University, which is a quote from the great sage, one of the first sages of Islam, Imam Ali. It's called Qimata Kulli Imri Ma Yosinhu, which we translate as the worth of every human is in the measure of their thoughtful self-cultivation. So this thoughtful self-cultivation, in brief, is important to empower citizens, empower students from a diverse, this is a very important feature, which we'll be talking about more, from a diverse set of backgrounds that empowers both their own self as well as the transformation of society, which is what we're talking about when we talk about shaping futures. With that brief introduction, I'd like to hand over for now, and then I'll be using the other participants. Hand over the mic to the very distinguished founding president of Habib University, President Wasif Rizvi. Wasif.
Adab, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, or more you are in the world. This is a relief day. I am in my relaxed purple kurta. We graduated our class of 2020 just yesterday, as Dr. Naqvi just mentioned. This was particularly bittersweet because when we admitted this class, the world was in deep uncertainty. It was the midst of COVID, and everybody was trying to figure out whether there is going to be any form of structured university left for foreseeable future. Thankfully, we climbed out of it sooner than we thought. Class of 2024, 2020 showed remarkable resilience. As I mentioned yesterday, that there was a big drop-off only in the first semester. This really gave us the direction regarding how to engage incoming class as well. So we are thankful, especially acknowledging the presence of Arib Haima on the screen. This webinar is a continuation of a conversation we had just before the convocation in person with a large group of Mohsineen in Karachi. So we thought that because Habib University is fortunate to have a vast community of now 802 supporters, so we thought that we share just a larger perspective regarding Habib University, as well as just a flavor of the graduating class. So thankful to Nejo and Somera who organized a webinar for the community. I have mentioned a bit about the intellectual and pedagogical mission of Habib University, which is crucial, and it was unique because Pakistan, is a new country, is a post-colonial reality. So there was no real higher education that existed. Was a ragtag system, and then very quickly it spun into an historically during the first marhala to just a vocational and And it's interesting that you mentioned the origin of modern liberal arts. The biggest influence on that was of Harvard College. Just for some higher education history aficionado, the longest term was known as Charles William Eliot, who was related to first cousin of T.S. Eliot. So just before he took over position, he actually was 28 years time, and he for 40 years. So he visited his cousin, who was in a self-imposed exile in England. And obviously, he got a lot of, one can assume, a lot of repetitive reflection from T.S. Eliot, his most famous work, his poem, The Wasteland. So yes, the modern liberal arts really, even at the turn of at end of 19th century, early 20th century, was forecasting the further and in Pakistan in 2010, 11, so I'll leave you and Rafiq about it. They said that apart from a very, very unique and critically required pedagogical mission of Habib University to nurture, inspire, engage citizens, we had a very challenging institutional mountain to climb, because private universities are not anywhere in the world. That's why there's no philanthropy that's available to support the private universities outside of the United States. And Habib being wanting to be a very high quality, world-class institution, attracting faculty members as distinguished as you, Noman, and many of your colleagues, it wouldn't have made any sense for us to create a great university and to only students. That would mean in Pakistan that would have been inaccessible to more than 5, maybe 98% of students. Challenge to time side of wanted. So we class of 20, we shared with our board that we perhaps the most yes private university that exists anywhere. And we're not just doing that to make a statement of generosity. We're doing that because that correlates with the extent of problem that Pakistan faces. And numerically speaking, that's who we are now. So as I shared yesterday, that 87% of our graduates, significant, all the students are subsidized, but 87% were 70 were supported massively to the point of being 100% supported. That's a model apart from all the intellectual value that it brings, and brings wonderful students like Kaima to Habib University. It's something which is required for the depth of the intellectual and pedagogical mission that you are leading, Noman. That if we didn't have this diversity of rootedness to the idea of reparative pedagogy and epistemology, then this mission would have gone. 7 years, we have graduated now well over 1,000, maybe 1,500, close to 1,500 students, and about 1,400 of them have been supported. We have about $35 million in today's rate in scholarships, which is about 3 times bigger than the entire amount of the last 30 years that the nearest university in Pakistan has given. So they have given, by their own admission, in about 30 years of existence, $9 million. We have given in 10 years, and to a smaller number of students, 5 support. And that's not to make just a statement. This is a symptom of the challenge that we face in Pakistan of access. I'll stop here.
Thank you, Asif, for that very illuminating discussion. There really is a very strong connection between the diversity of this, which is enabled by this model that we have, and the response that we, mashallah, to our really, very unique educational program. You can't imagine this kind of response from students who, of course, this does not mean that elite students are not. It's not a deterministic relation, but only the kind of response that, I mean, since I teach a great deal of the core curriculum, I know that what enables the reception of this really radical and unique and really, I mean, I don't know anywhere else where anyone's teaching this kind of core curriculum. What enables the reception is the diversity of the student body. And I think what not only the students who we have with us, a large number of students from rural backgrounds. This is also a very important part of our diversity, both up north and in other parts of Pakistan. Students from rural background really respond very well to our educational program, and I think that says a lot. Okay, now I'd like to turn to our students to talk about their experience of Habib University. So I'll start with brief introductions. These are, despite their youth, extremely distinguished young people, so I won't be able to do justice to their achievements in this very brief introduction. I wish I'd had the kind of education that you've had when I was your age, and I had your abilities, but they really are very, very mature, distinguished people, from my perspective. First, our class valedictorian for 2024, Kaima Hussain, who is also the winner of Habib University's prestigious President's Medal for her exceptional academic record in GP. She graduated last night with a BA in Comparative Humanities. She won the award from the Department of Comparative Humanities. I'm proud to say that I supervised. It required really minimal supervision since she's such an extraordinary student. She also won the recipient of the Habib Excellence Scholarship, which covers 60 to 80% of tuition and fees for students who demonstrate high merit and potential. Her undergraduate as well creative endeavors, including co-creating the theater project Sadi Puri Ho Gayi, and producing a research-informed short film titled At the Tip of Our Shared Tongue. Her thesis also is accompanied by a short film. Kaima's academic journey continues at Stanford University, and I congratulate her again on her admission there. Department of Comparative Literature for the doctoral program there. Kaima, can you tell us something about your experience? And once again, congratulations all awards. I haven't even named all of them, actually missing a couple, as well as your graduation, as well as your admission to Stanford University. Mashallah, 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 mashallah. So can you tell us a little bit about experience, Habib?
Thank you so much for everything and your kind words and introduction, Dr. Napi. That was actually that was very 24, part of the batch 2024. So that means that we start in COVID. So that meant I really get to experience Habib in all of the story and in everything through in-person. Instead, our first 2 years were spent online. And I think that the professor really trying to give us this new pedagogical and educational landscape because even though you were at home and Zoom classes were hard for everybody, there was still so much to interact with. There was so much to look forward to. And I remember especially my Panza and modernity classes happened online, but they were some of my favorite as part of the liberal. And then I took Hikmah with you, and that also changed my life and also inspired my thesis in a lot of ways. And I think that that's really to take away from Habib, that things whatever you learn, even if it's with the classroom, part of your curriculum, or even if it's through your interactions, learn how to interact with the world and how to interact with yourself. And it with a lot of space to, and I think that what my experience of Habib was in the past years. It gave me the space to really think and act with the world. And I think I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. Remember, I think it was your first we have annual post-colonial higher education conference. That year, the theme was reparative futures. Yes, and that's corresponds to our passion. And we were doing a program with the students, just like this, a webinar, and you came up, in fact, with the expression reparative thinking. Yeah, so we had this reparative future, but as a form of thinking, you were the one to name it, at least. Yeah, I remember quite spontaneously that program, which I think you were moderating.
Yes, it was between you and I was the moderator.
Yeah, that's right. So spontaneously, in the course of that mission, you named a form reparative thinking. Could I ask you, if it's too much to ask for, to tell us a little bit about what you make of this?
Of reparative thinking, I think obviously we've used the word think so many times last meeting. What I that when you come into any education institution, and specifically Habib, you come in with a lot of preconceived notions, not only about yourself, but about how you're supposed to learn and how you're supposed to interact with the world and what ultimately you're supposed to get out of your higher education degree and how it will give you you need to get a job. But at Habib, from the first year, I remember from a week, we had a webinar, we had a panel with you again. And throughout the week, everybody, whoever we spoke to, alumni or our old or our week leaders, everyone told us that Habib isn't going to be with. And that has stayed true to like its very core basic fundamentals. You are completely rewired in the way that you think, in the way that you learn, in the way that you look at the world. And I think that's where the idea of reparations comes from, because as post-colonial citizens, you are told, okay, this is what your perspective of the world is. And especially if you come from an O levels or an A levels back, whitewashed a very limited view of the world. And then when you come to Habib, it's like you're allowed to experience a whole other spectrum of knowledge and thought. And that's where the reparations come in, because you're allowed to gain what you perhaps didn't know that you had lost. And I think that that's essentially what the basis of almost everyone's journey at Habib becomes. Even if you want to reject it or you forget it as you go on, you will still remember something and your outlook towards the world will still be different.
Thank you. Yeah. And you mentioned in your valedictorian speech last night, which was an important part of your valedictorian speech, is something that is central to Hikmah, this course that you mentioned. Hikmah, which means wisdom. Hikmah, the inherent, as you gestured in your remarks, love is central to our vision of what Islam hikmah is about and what the reparative. So that's also, as you were saying yesterday in your speech, love is at the heart of reparation, healing both society and oneself. Was that's also at the heart of reparative thinking. Very much. Now, I'd like to turn to our other distinguished student, Mr. Arib Khan, the university's award. He's also an HU Top Scholar. HU Tops is Habib University's exceptionally generous scholarship program, awarding 100% scholarship, standing local examination boards. Arib graduated last night with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, the class of 2024. His passion for intelligence and the pursue through multi-system system opportunities. Arib's final year project garnered on Space Agency and research Suparco, which he presented at the UN's Climate Change Conference, COP28 in Dubai. Now, that's really quite extraordinary. Arib is an entrepreneur at heart, and he is currently pursuing his venture IntelliCrop TK, which aims to revolutionize the agricultural industry through the power of artificial intelligence. And I'm really pleased about this. And I was talking to Arib about this last night. The fact I was talking to your parents also, Arib, and mentioning the fact that no matter how much quote unquote progress we make, we'll still need to eat. Yeah. So it's amazing that we completely ignore, really quite extraordinary that we ignore really in our policies and our outlook and the way we live our lives, the most important part of the world's population, which is, the agricultural population of the world, which makes everything else possible in the world. So I can't tell you how pleased I am with the project that you have chosen for yourself. Can I please ask you to tell us something about your experience of Habib University, what enabled this incredible place that you've arrived at?
So, thank you, Dr. Nakvi, first of all, for all the kind words. And so my experience of Habib was just like any experience of the like the COVID as Kamal mentioned. We were meeting our friends and our family. Since I'm coming from an engineering background, so I was like quite had to with the breadboards, with the transistors, with the machines that are in the lab. So we were like, how will we actually go to first year? And you actually, build all this information down there. So if the base is not set, how will we actually look towards the more high level courses? And we need the machines which are in the lab. We need our projects lab. We need communications lab and all of these things. So the Habib University faculty came up, with a very, very interesting software called Tinkercad, in which we can actually, simulate all of our electrical hardware things. And it was just like a simulation, a real simulation. So the interaction of technology, how it came in the years of the COVID, which was quite amazing. And actually when I didn't feel any barrier, there was no, we just shifted very smooth, and through the feel like we you know and the fact that in the final year that in my junior also we were given by our department, by our faculty, to any venture to pursue domain in engineering, and we just confined to one particular thing. And the fact that, like, before entering Habib, my vision was to get most of the technical knowledge what I can, and really the world knowledge of what is happening. I barely watch any news. I was, just a tech savvy guy, very not interested in the world affairs, like what's happening. I remember about the George Floyd protest which happened. That was in 2020, and I was particularly very, unaware about it until March came. After, taking the liberal course modernity with one of my Shah, and after passing through the whole curriculum, the hikmah, I was just, oh my God, like, what am I missing in this world? Like, this is actually like most of the problems of the world are just in front of me, and as an engineer, I should be able to solve them. But if I haven't studied these courses, how would I actually get to the problem? And then after, also technical things and taking the liberal arts courses, being more aware of my own surroundings, I was able to think a lot about my own, personal knowledge that I've acquired from my, from my parents, from my society, and what I would say, I responded to it also, and I look back, I relearned myself. I forgot all the past things that I actually get from the society and relearned myself, reinvent myself, refound myself also. So that's for me, that 4 year journey was, particularly amazing. And when I'm leaving this place, I'm actually an entirely different. What I so yeah, so that's pretty much it about it.
MashaAllah, that's really inspiring. Tell us about how you came to focus on the agricultural sector.
Yeah, so basically it was a very small observation. So me and my friends, we were sitting in the Zen garden. So Zen garden is an area in Habib University, which if the attendees do not know, where there are a lot of plants, and it's an area where people can relax, and it's there are like a lot of trees and lot of like you can go to connect with the nature. So I usually sit there in my in my fourth semester with my friends, and we were doing our assignment. So spontaneously, some of the TCT staff members, were working very hard. They were like putting down the pesticides and putting down various things in the plants, and there was a particular disease. And day after day, as I was there completing my assignment, I was seeing the staff members, working in the field, all of things. So I just got an initial idea how can we problem of these staff members and actually give them, the ease through a technological innovation. And when we dig deeper, we found more horrible facts about it. Like Pakistan's agriculture yield is like 1/4 the size of the industrial nations. And we have like the land, we have a lot of land, but we are not producing enough agriculture output. Agriculture is actually 25% of our GDP, 90% of the farmers are small scale farmers, and there's barely no technological innovation. Like even after all the things that Pakistan is doing, like currently in the IT sector, we are the seventh most country which are producing good enough software engineers, but our agriculture sector is all ruined. And this is all because the policymakers, the government, and the academia is not looking towards the agriculture sector. So that's how me and of course my project partner, we wanted to do something for this community, for the small scale farmers that actually need this kind of a product. And so yeah, that was the initial observation that we came up.
Acha, I just asked you this question because I didn't ask you this question before. So that's a really amazing story. It was, you were just
Yeah.
sitting in one of these spaces at Habib University
Yeah.
in the Zen garden and looking at the staff working in that garden. And you came up with your thesis project, which is about the agricultural sector. That's a remarkable story. Thank you much. So now I'd like to turn to sorry, there's a message for me. So I'm just looking at that. Uh, if I could just have those messages in the chat box, that would be more helpful for me. You can message to me because there's a lock on my phone, which so I, put in a password. So please just send me the messages here in the chat. Thank you. So now I'm going to turn to our distinguished Mohsineen. As Wasif was saying, this is what really enables, they play a very important role in enabling the Habib University enterprise. And here today, we have with us Mr. Rafiq Mohammadi and Ms. Shazeen Jawar. Rafiq Mohammadi Saab is one of Habib University's key community leaders from Chicago and a very ardent advocate of liberal arts education. Rafiq Mohammadi is an accomplished engineer who has almost 40 years of experience in the software industry. He received his Bachelor of Science and Master of Science in Computer Science from the University of Illinois at Chicago. He also earned an executive MBA degree from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. In 1995, Rafiq Saab co-founded iManage to offer internet-facing document management system. Under his leadership, the company went public in 1999 and grew from zero revenue to $50 million in less than 4 years. What an incredible story. I Manage today has more than 1,000 employees, and the company continues to thrive and innovate. Also indicated by the fact that Rafiq Saab serves on the board of advisors for the College of Engineering at Chicago. Saag Rafiq Saab, thank you so much for joining us on this program. Could I ask you, how did you come to be interested in working with Habib University?
देखिए जनाब, I speak English all the time, but I love Urdu, so I hope some of you will help me get better at Urdu. It has been a lifelong passion. You know, Habib University was a precious accident, one of those accidents, serendipity, when you're at it, right? I've spent decades building organizations, hiring people, managing people, working with teams, and I'm passionate about leadership studies, right? So I've read countless biographies, and the thing that I think about all the time is that what makes good leaders? One common answer is leadership traits. You know, they have certain behavioral attributes that lead to being effective as leaders. And leaders doesn't have to be corporate leaders. By leaders, I mean people that bring about change, right? Beneficial change. So I'm in my mid-60s now, and I came to the conclusion that in my education, I had sorely missed Dr. Noman. I had been searching for him pretty much all through the decades. It's not just about the traits. We have plenty of good traits. Our mothers and fathers work with us in good behavioral attributes. Our family supports us often. What do we get exposed to? Because I have come without metaphors, you simply don't have access to the kind of thinking that leads to very interesting long-term changes. So we use word reparative, part of the shackles being of it. And we're supposed to make sense of world. I met Wasif. I started looking at your bio, Dr. Noman, and many of your other people. I listened to the speech by Jazra Raza, and one day, park bench, I realized that this was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan all over again. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, 125 years later, realizing that we need to bring about exposure to human universal knowledge in a way that we just heard our two graduates speaking. I don't even have much to say after Kaima and Arib. I could have listened to you for another half hour and it would have been just perfect.
Thank you much for that remarkable testimony. And what you are saying about metaphors is a really key insight, actually, in the modern humanities and social sciences. The significance of metaphor, and actually, even though it used to be a bad word, but it no longer is in the humanities and the social sciences, because it plays an important role in all human cognitive, and not just cognitive, but in ethical and social life, which so this is myth. In fact, that was positive about myths in the past as well, because they enabled people, very complex they were, the myths. They enable people to think, anew, because the myth was always translated, just like metaphors are always translated situations. So thank you for that really very, very interesting insight. Now, if I may turn other family. Actually, she represents the Jhawar family, Ms. Shazeen Jhawar. She's a driven and passionate leader and a graduate of the C.T. Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston in entrepreneurship and marketing. Throughout her academic journey, she actively immersed herself in the field of entrepreneurship and served as the president in the Collegiate Entrepreneurship Organization, spearheading initiatives to connect fellow students with accomplished individuals and entrepreneurs. She currently leads the Sweetwater Franchise Group, LLC, headquartered in Sugar Land, Texas. She is also on the board of Etsoma, an AI reading assistant app that aims to reimagine children's literacy journeys. Her interest in education extends beyond just higher education. Shazeen, if I may, could I ask you to tell us your family's interest in Habib University?
Yes, of course. So for me and my family, I've always watched my parents throughout my childhood. They always have given back to education, whether it was through volunteering, through, helping different students financially, things like that. And I've seen that from such a young age. And for me, as I got older and I began my studies in university, I saw a more, I guess, a more realistic version of that, which is like, instead of seeing my parents help people, it's like I'm seeing people struggle a lot to manage their work, to pay for their school, to pay for where they're living, and so many things like that. So I did what I could to create as many opportunities for those people to succeed as possible, because I watched my parents do it. And so with Habib, my dad had got us involved in Habib University, and after learning more about it, to some events and hearing from Kaima and Arib about their journeys, it reminded me a lot of the education that I received, because the education that I got through the program that I did was a lot different than a traditional education, which teaches people to follow into, you work and you listen to these people and they teach you this, but they don't teach you how to lead, and they don't teach you how to have your own mind and your own thoughts and your own ideals to go out and create change in the world and to create new communities and better communities and things like that. And so hearing you guys talk and then kind of relating it back to the education that I got, it's a easy thing for us to support this university, because it's creating people that will foster change in the future, not only in Pakistan, but globally.
Thank you so much, Shazeen. What you're saying, and something that Rafiq Saab had said earlier, I want to relate it also to Arib. Arib was telling us that, he was what people call, before he came to Habib, what people usually call science geek, right? And Arib arrived here and he was exposed to the liberal core curriculum, amongst other, because I think in the computer science program, actually, they have enough room in their curriculum to have other courses also in the other electives from the liberal arts. So that gave him insight into what the purpose of technology is, because in fact you can't really technology is on its own without having a sense of purpose, means nearly nothing. And that's where leadership comes in. Yeah. So that's precisely, you said, Arib, that it was precisely through that you understood what are the actual problems that technological innovators need to think about when they are thinking about technological innovation. So that's a really important insight, I think. And you're right, Shazeen. That's what we should be talking about when we talk about leadership. I mean, there's a lot of sloganeering about leadership, and all kinds of really very shallow people have become what are they called? Inspirational speakers, etc. Inspire people and, to become leaders or whatever, but it's really mostly a lot of hogwash. What it actually takes to develop genuine leadership, which actually, if you think about it, the world has lost a great deal over the past 50 years. If you think about the leadership across the world until the 70s, really. And many of them were, of course, post-colonial. If you think of, great leaders of political leaders of the 20th century, you can't help but think of Gandhi, Nehru, in our case, Jinnah, or Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. I mean, in any case, whatever difficulties we might have with them, the level of leadership that existed then, of course, all across Africa and Martin Luther King and in the United States, really the most phenomenal leaders existed at the time. Yeah, and I think that over this past 50 years, the neoliberal phase that we've been going through, especially the past 40 years, a very dramatic transformation in the world, which corresponds to this time where we talk about a crisis of humanities and liberal arts. This includes in the United States. Yeah, I think is very responsible for this hollowing out of leadership. So I think, yes, Habib University is to substance, which is the tool of leadership. So we still have some time, quite a time. Vas, can I ask you to come into a lot on our plate here now? So I'm sure you're also surging with thought. Would you like to say something?
No, I would responding to Rafiq Bhai's wish. I was actually listening to this beautiful idea of metaphor and yesterday regarding having the capacity to feel sad. तो मैं वही गजल ढूंढ रहा था गालिब की. आपको पता है गजलों में कुछ में दो मतले हैं, कुछ में दो मक्ते हैं. ये इनकी मशहूर गजल है जिसके दो मक्ते हैं. The first refers to the power of metaphor, which is basically for him is the basis of reality. मशहूर उनका बैत है, हस्ती के मत फरेब में आ जाइयो असद, तमाम हल्क़े में ख्याल है. Right? So उनका बड़ा मशहूर शेर ये, don't be illusioned by just the physicality of reality. And there is the imagination and the thought is actually, and perhaps is one of the cornerstones of honestly string theory, which says that this is basically projected as a hologram from some higher consciousness. So this इसी का दूसरा है ये कायमा के लिए और आप हबीब के करिकुलम के लिए भी और आज की के लिए भी. पहलू तही न कर से पहलू तही कर मुझे असद दर्द की है. Right, so we need to be courageous enough to invest our heart in feeling the pain that is around us. And it just says, so, and that, but it also connects a theme, which is Reshaping Philanthropy, how so many of our men have waqt or devoted or donated enormous amount of resources to us. To make a lot of this possible, I would actually just like to put Arif for a second. His own scholarship known as TOPS, Optimization Portion Support Program, which is a unique program in its scale. It is growing every year, down to almost 50% of the class that we are going to admit from previously disenfranchised local examination board students. So Arif, if you could share Okay, how now as a recipient as well as a thoughtful student, how do you reflect on the structure of the TOPS program?
So, TOPS program was actually best decisions. Actually, I was taking because I was applying for multiple universities at that point in time, and top when I so there's a and after completing the offer, uh, I was like just being carried out step by step, one day at a time. And there was no financial obligation. There was just like you have to be consistent with the using grade. You have to study. You have to be your own self, and then do what you do best out there. And this is how top. This is what tops. This is what makes tops beautiful. That it actually makes you free out of all the worries of the financial obligations, and then you can study. You can you can explore other things. You can explore your own interest, and if we support this opportunity, it should be taken, and you should actually make use of this opportunity, and then give this opportunity back to some of the community members also. Like currently, like my dream is like to support more students like me who want to who want to pursue higher education, and that is why I have started teaching small students free of cost, and that is how we actually give the community, right? Like I have on the day of my graduation, I found out that my TOPS scholarship was supported by Nargis Surti, the supported scholarship, and that was something that I am very thankful to that lady also. And this is how like a lady is supporting me to be here, and this also shatters the patriarchal mindset of the society, right? Like 13 students are being supported by the Surti Enterprise. So this is something I'm grateful, and this is quite wonderful for me.
Quickly, just for both you and Kaima, were you aware of or did you become aware of the extent of the challenge and the problem? कि local examination board के जो students हैं, they are found in very small numbers in some of the best universities in Pakistan, while they are a huge 96-97% of the high school cohort, but their numbers shrink to 4-5% in some of the best universities. Were you aware of this particular calculus?
Um,
Uh,
Sorry, I'll go first. I was aware of how low the numbers were when it came to I interacted with people from different backgrounds. It became more obvious to see where the education and economic
for me, yes, it was like quite evident that some of the most prestigious universities are admitting students from from international boards, from Cambridge boards, and it was how this was becoming evident in the society. And Habib, through this TOPS program and other grants and scholarships, and app that it is providing, the level playing field, as I called it. It's quite amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wasif and Arib and everybody else. I think I'd really like to turn to Shaukat Dhanani Saab now. Shaukat Dhanani Saab is one of our really preeminent Mohsineen. Our School of Science and Engineering is named after Dhanani Saab. It's the Dhanani School of Science and Engineering. Mr. Shaukat Dhanani is the CEO of the Dhanani Group, which is America's third largest restaurant franchise. Under his leadership, the Dhanani Group has been included in the Forbes list of America's largest private companies. He's a strong believer in the role of accessible, quality higher education in nation building, and gave, as a result of this commitment of his, a generous grant to Habib University in 2018. Owing to his contribution, the Science and Engineering School of the university has been dedicated to him and his family. Currently, he serves on the board of Habib University Foundation USA and is a member of the Board of Governors at Habib University. He is very active even beyond his city, in advocating for the Habib cause and making it possible for us to connect with larger communities of Mohsineen. Thank you so much, Dhanani Saab, for being with us on this program. Could I ask you to say a few words?
Sure. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'd like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Noman Naqvi for moderating this webinar. Sorry. And to Mr. Wasif Rizvi for eloquently sharing Habib University's vision and mission. I extend my heartiest congratulations to Habib University's class of 24. Listening to Kaima and Arif, the representative panelists of the batch, my conviction of the value of quality higher education. I'm also grateful to Madi and Sazin Javed for their time and participation in this inspiring conversation. My family and I feel to play our part in supporting its mission to redefine higher education in Pakistan and provide access quality education to meritorious students from all backgrounds. I would like to commend Habib University for its effort to make quality higher education accessible. Its generous scholarships and financial aid programs have continued to amplify the significance without attaching any authority of a profound learning. Over the years, I have seen making mark in different ways. I've listened to their stories of success and impact of their institution, both in Pakistan and beyond. Today, after hearing this, I found my answer by combining a unique liberal arts and sciences model with a relentless focus on student success. Habib University cultivates engaged critical thinkers and future leaders. Supporting higher education is undoubtedly the only way for Pakistan's long-term sustainable progress. Each one of us has the power to empower talented students and shape a better future for Pakistan. I would encourage you to redirect your philanthropic priorities towards higher education and donate generously to Habib University. Thank you and congratulations again to the class of 24.
Thank you so much, Dhanani Saab, for that eloquent testimony. So we have questions coming in. We have very little time left, but some of the questions that we've gotten, because this is being transmitted live, are about our alumni. First of all, what kind of impact that they're having. I'm mostly in touch directly with alumni who are in graduate school, who I continue to have an intellectual relationship with. What I can say about them, and inshallah, Kaima will soon be one of those graduates. What I can say about them is that their projects are quite unique. Yeah, these are areas of inquiry which lots of people from South Asia, from South Asian backgrounds, have not explored, which are key questions about our inheritance, key questions about the potentialities lost potentialities, for example, that exist within our inheritance. And that's all. That's what it means to recognize one's inheritance, is to recognize that its potential is not exhausted. Yeah, that it continues to remain a resource for thinking. So that's what I can say about them. I can also tell you that reports that we get about our alumni in other areas of life, other sectors of the economy, as it's called, are that they are very ethical. They are able to think outside the box also. They're imaginative, and that they have a very well-developed problem-solving abilities. But I'll ask President Rizvi to also say something. I often, because he keeps track of, he has to, he's the president of the university, so he has to keep track of. So I often ask him about what things, about where our graduates are and how.
Yes. So you have covered one area, which is the grad schools, and we're very proud of many dozens, if close to actually more than 100, 200 alumni who are active students of the noted graduate programs and are pursuing critical things. Some of them have looped back to Habib University to be fellows, to work on their academic projects, as you already know. But biggest number obviously is in the job market, and the impact and the giving back that we're seeing is along. We hear that they are many, in fact, have that want to graduate. Think of and for and to solve issues, very alumni who will change the entire phase very national by a much more empathetic. See, which is 6-7% acceptance rate. The so because alumni that of course is well beyond being a, and many other who continue to contribute or are actually deepening their contribution. And lastly is the ease of the in the job market to take Habib graduates. This year, about 70%, 5% of alumni already were picked up before they finished their final semester by the job market. This is percent of the students who were actually looking for something. So I think that we are very confident that Habib is continuing to fulfill the promise that we had made when we opened the university up in measure of reshaping philanthropy and allowed the larger community and society to become a stakeholder with us.
Thank you, President Rizvi. Now, we've already gone over time. I'm not quite sure thing to do right now. Should I, can you give me an, yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Naqvi, if I may be allowed to read a comment that Uzair Ibrahim has just sent me, and he has requested me to read it out. Uzair is our alum. He's studying in UK, and he's from one of the he's from the founding batch of Habib University, the first ever batch of Habib University. So if you allow me, I just wanted to read out his comment.
Uzair is doing a PhD now at
Yes.
the University of Exeter.
Yeah. So what he's saying is, first of all, massive congratulations to the class of 2024 and by excellent students who really deserve much more admiration than they're able to offer given the times they've been through. I'm out of turn, really. This is not about me or the first class, but if I may be allowed a moment of brief reflection, I'd like to make a comment in all humility. I entered Habib not only as a student who did not have any kind of money required to afford an education like Habib's, if one had to pay all the way through, but also as a first-gen college student, as well as a wheelchair user, which unfortunately is not as common as it should be in Pakistan. Humanities, which is not considered choice, investment, and return on money, even more so for students from low income backgrounds. So what he writes is, when he entered Habib University, young, aware as he was, he really had no idea of Yakta Habib is. Yakta means, he says, singular, unique, and incomparable. Then he goes on to share his experience. And now he says that I feel very lucky to be one of the first recipients of such an education. I'm very grateful for everyone who made this education accessible for me, financially as well as physically. Behad shukriya. And then he writes about the PhD that he is pursuing right now that you just mentioned, Dr. Zair, I've done a job.
Okay,
Thank you, Dr.
thank you so
Naqvi.
much.
Quickly, there's a question: are the alumni supporting Habib University financially? Yes, they are. There is an active alumni portal. Many of the alumni are supporting in whatever ways they are. And mind you, this is a young university, so our oldest alumni won't be out of their 20s yet. And we just graduated our 7th batch. Much more important, I was, and I hope there are students of Dr. Noman Naqvi who have secured scholarships in his name from their employers already at Habib University. So alumni are going to be as effective, if not a more fierce engine for Habib University than what we are accustomed to seeing in the US universities. So very, very looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, President Rizvi. And thank you to Shaukat Dhanani Saab, Rafiq Mohammadi Saab, Shazeen Jhawar Sahiba, and to these very distinguished young people, Arib Adnan Khan and Kaima Hussain. Thank you so much for being on this program. Thank you, President Rizvi and the Marcom team. And I think it's time that we close this program now, even though there's so much to talk about. But so thank you to everyone who's listening to this or who may listen to this, because it was being recorded and it will be available. So others will be watching this too, hopefully. So good night, or whatever part of the world you're from. Khuda Hafiz. Take care of you. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.
Bye, everyone.
Adab.
Adab.
Adab.